Shalom, 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 YermiYah. This is part 4 of Real Talk. This is going to be the final video dealing with walking in the Spirit. This lesson is mainly to those who are struggling in their walk. Those who are newcomers, those who are struggling in walk and have been in the truth for years. That this is the time now that you must build up your spirit. This is the time now you must resist your flesh, the temptations of the world. This is the time you must be closer to the Most High, like never before. I'm going to do more reading out of scriptures. Up in the last video, I did a lot of talking. This video, part 4, this is what the Spirit has put on my heart to read out of the book of Hosea. And chapter 2 is where it has me to go. Say ye unto your brethren, Emma, and to your sister, Ruhamah, plead with your mother, plead, for she is not my wife, neither am I her husband. Let her therefore put away her whoredom out of her sight, and her adulteries from between her breasts, lest I strip her naked, and set her as in the day that she was born, and make her as a wilderness, and set her like a dry land, and slay her with thirst. And I will not have mercy upon her children, for they be the children of whoredoms. For their mother hath played the harlot, she that conceived them have done shameful. For she said, I will go after my lovers that give me my bread and my water, my wool and my flax, my oil and my drink. Therefore, behold, I will hedge up thy way with thorns, and make a wall, that she shall not find her paths. And she shall follow after her lovers, but she shall not overtake them, and she shall seek them, but she shall not find them. Then shall she say, I will go and return to my first husband, for then was it better with me than now. For she did not know that I gave her corn and wine and oil, and multiplied her silver and gold, which they prepared for Baal. Therefore will I return, and take away my corn, and the time thereof, and my wine in the season thereof, and will recover my wool and my flax, given to cover her nakedness. And now will I discover her lewdness in the sight of her lovers, and none shall deliver her out of my hand. I will also cause her myrrh to cease, her feast days, her new moons, her Sabbaths, and all her solemn feasts. And I will destroy her vines and her fig trees, whereof she has said, these are my rewards that my lovers have given me. And I will make them a forest, and the beasts of the field shall eat them. And I will visit upon her the days of Baalim, whereon she burned incense to them, and she decked herself with earrings and her jewels, and she went after her lovers, and forgot me, said the Master. Therefore, behold, I will allure her, and bring her into the wilderness, and speak comfortably unto her. And I will give her her vineyards from thence, and the valley of Achor for a door of hope. And she shall sing there as in the days of her youth, and as in the day when she came up out of the land of Egypt, Mizraim. And it shall be at that day, said the Master, that thou shalt call my Isha, and shall call me, that thou shalt call me Isha, and shall call me no more Ba'alah. For I will take away the name of Ba'alim out of her mouth, and they shall no more be remembered by their name. And in that day will I make a covenant for them with the beasts of the field, and with the fowl of the heaven, and with the creepy things of the ground. And I will break the bow and the sword and the battle out of the earth, and will make them to lie down safely. And I will betroth thee unto me forever. Yea, I will betroth thee unto me in righteousness, and in judgment, and in loving kindness, and in mercies. I will even betroth thee unto me in faithfulness, and thou shalt know the master. And it shall come to pass in that day, I will hear, saith the master, I will hear the heavens, and they shall hear the earth. And the earth shall hear the corn, and the wine, and the oil. And they shall hear Jezreel, and I will show her unto me in the earth, and I will have mercy upon her that had not obtained mercy. And I will say to them which were not my people, thou art my people. And they shall say, thou art my Yah. Then said the master unto me, go yet, loving woman, beloved of her friend, yet an adulteress, according to the love of the master towards the children of Israel, who look to other gods and love flagons of wine. So the Most High, let me finish this off. So I brought her to me for 15 pieces of silver, and for a homer of barley, and a half of homer of barley. And I said unto her, thou shalt abide before me many days. Thou shalt not play in the harlot, and thou shalt not be for another man. So will I also be for thee. For the children of Israel shall abide many days without a king, and without a prince, and without a sacrifice, and without an image, and without an ephah, and without a teraphim. After shall the children of Israel return, and seek the master their Elohim, and David the king, and shall fear the master and his goodness in the latter days. So, in the book of Hosea, where I read from chapter 2 and chapter 3, as you can see, he called Yisrael a harlot. He referred to Israel as his wife, and said that, you went after your lovers. You abandoned your first husband, which was me, and went after whoring with all your lovers. And then he said that because Israel did this, his wife did this, he called all her lovers to fail her. So every time she went out to go to her lover, he said, I put up a wall, I put up a hedge of thorns. So her lovers could not supply her as her lovers once did, because he was jealous because of her adulterous ways. So he used this metaphor of a woman committing adultery to her husband, talking about the whole nation of Israel. Because instead of us keeping the law, statutes, commandments, we started following after other nations and following their gods and worshiping their gods. We were sacrificing unto their gods. We were taking our children and killing our children and sacrificing them to their gods. We were doing all these things which he called committing adultery. The nation of Israel is a woman, and we are the bride, and he is the bridegroom. So he's telling us this is what this woman did, my wife did. And he goes on to tell you that tell her what she did. And if she don't do it, I'm going to strip her naked and I'm going to expose her. And that's what he did to Israel. He stripped us naked, took everything from us. He took away, as it tells you in the book of Isaiah, chapter 3, in the book of Isaiah chapter 3, when you read what he did when he stripped the nation of Israel, there, he took everything from us. What did he say? The first thing he started telling you that he took, in the book of Isaiah chapter 3, he says, for behold, the master of hosts, doeth take away from Jerusalem and from Yahudah the stay and the staff, the whole stay of bread, and the host their waters. The mighty man and the man of war, the judge and the prophet and the prudent and the ancient, the captain of 50, the honorable man and the counselor and the cunning artificer and the equivalent auditor. So he told you, he took away the most important things that we need as a nation. We need a prophet. We need righteous men. We need men of war. We need the mighty man. We need the ancient men. We need those with wisdom, those with intelligence. He took all the things from us. He stripped us of our food, of our water, all these things. We right now live in a country where you can't even collect rainwater or you're going to get fined or you might go to jail. We live in a country right now that we have to eat food that is polluted. We have to eat things that have been genetically modified. When we had our own country and we had the best of the whole world, the land of Canaan was rich. When you read about the spies that went over and went into the land to spy the land out, and they brought back some of the things in the land, they brought back a cluster of grapes that it took 2 men to carry on a stick. That's how big it was. That's how the cluster of grapes, how big it was, how plenteous the land was. It was rich in vegetation and fruits and everything else we needed. A land flowed with milk and honey. We gave all that up to become servants, true servants. Israel gave all that up because we did not follow the laws and commandments of the Most High, so he stripped us and he made us bare and he showed everybody in the world our nakedness. That's why we're walking around here right now looking like any and everything. We look like we are, it's not funny, but when you think about it, the nation of Israel, these so-called African-American, Negroes, Black, Hispanic, or whatever you want to call yourself today, and not want to really call who you really are, the house of Israel, if you really look at us, we're a bunch of mental patients. A bunch of hypochondriacs, very angry people, very depressed people, bipolar, paranoid schizophrenics. We have every trait of someone who is mentally disturbed, the whole nation. We go from one phase to another because this would happen to us when we walked away from the Most High. So we are attacked by every demonic spirit that because if you look at the Bible and you realize when Messiah was walking around, he was rebuking demons out of people that were sick. They were bringing sick people to the Messiah, and they said, "My son is vexed with cerebral palsy." A demon got him. Every child that was sick or crippled or had any type of problem being deaf or blind, they said they were possessed by a demon. So demons are the reason why a lot of people were what we call today mentally ill. Because mental illness today is classified as a sickness, but back in the biblical times, mental illness was classified as being possessed by demons. A man today will be sitting cutting himself up in his flesh, and the same type of man that was cutting himself up in his flesh in the Bible by the name of Legion. Legion was up in the tombs of cemeteries, cutting his flesh with rocks, and every time somebody would come through there, he would run down from the tombs and beat people up. Now we got people that do it today that's very violent. They out there talking to themselves, they might be cutting themselves, and here you come down the street and just attack you. And they say this person is mentally ill. But in the Bible, there was a man just like that. His name was Legion. And the reason why he was called Legion, because he had 1,000 demons inside of him. He was possessed by 1,000 demons. That's what Legion means. It means 1,000. He said, the Messiah walked up to him and he said, "Who are you?" He said, "We are a legion, for we are many." So, this is our people. We are a bunch of mental case. We talk to ourselves constantly. We don't have no assurance of how things are going to turn out. We nervous, we stressed out. We go through a lot of different emotions while everybody else is eating and drinking and having a good old time. They ain't caring about nothing. All the other nations compared to us are stress-free. We are suffering because we suffer from identity crisis. We suffer from self-esteem. We suffer from everything that you can imagine that will be classified for a person that is mentally ill and have all the traits of someone who is mentally ill we have as a nation of people. Violent, paranoid, hypochondriacs. We possess every type of germ known to man amongst our people. We are the sickest race on this earth. Mentally and physically, we are sick people. How we survive this long is only by the grace of the Most High, that He has preserved us. We are the most sickest people on earth, but at the same time, we are still outpopulating our enemies. Now, the scriptures go and tells us that He was going to strip us if we didn't turn. Verse 3 of chapter 2 of the book of Hosea said, "Lest I strip her naked and set her as in the day that she was born, and make her as a wilderness, and set her like a dry land, and slay her with thirst." When he talking about slay you with thirst, he's talking about physically, but he's talking about spiritually, not having His word, not having the understanding of how to get in contact with the Most High. When you thirst for knowledge, thirst for the truth, you are really thirsty, because in this land there is no water. He says, I'm going to jump down to verse 7, and he said, "And she shall follow after her lovers, but she shall not overtake them, and she shall seek them, but shall not find them. Then shall she say, I will go and return to my first husband, for then was it better with me than now." So those of us know that when we were doing the right thing in our kingdom, the Most High blessed us above all nations on the earth. So a lot of people try to turn back to the Most High, but He had to fulfill the prophecies. He had to fulfill His word. But this is a love song. This is a love letter to a woman who was an adulterous woman by a husband who loved her unconditionally. This is what you got to get by this. Hallelujah. He loved his wife unconditionally, even though she went and committed adultery with all these different men. And we mean, when I say men, for those who didn't hear, that this is the nations, the other people, the other nations out there. She went out there committing all adultery with all these different men, opened her legs to every man that had a penis, put his seed all up in her, meaning his false guides, his false teachers, and all the things he was doing. And the Most High knew that she was polluted, because the scripture tells us that if you divorce your wife and she becomes another man's wife and he divorces her, you can't take her back, the first husband, because that land is really polluted. Once a man takes a woman and he puts his seed up in her, and then she goes to become another man's wife and he put his seed up in her, that first man can't take her back, because now that land is polluted. Because now there's two different seeds that's been in her. And that's not something that's supposed to be. A woman only supposed to have one man in her lifetime unless her husband died. That's because she is made differently than men are. She has an open womb. And even physically, if a woman sleep with one man and then go sleep with another man in that same course of time, and both of their semen is in her body, she will give off a discharge of a smell that smells fishy, because the two semen don't mix. This is something that most women teach their daughters. Like, you out there having sex, or most whores teach females who are cheaper than husbands, you better make sure that you clean yourself out, because this is an ancient teacher, and I know this because I read this. But that's why, it's an abomination for a wife to go sleep around and take a seed of another man, and then go back to her husband after he divorced and go back to the first husband. He said, no, you ain't doing it. But here, you see the Most High saying this. I'm just jumping around, this is the Most High saying. He said, therefore will I return and take away my corn. And the time, so he's going to punish her. He's going to take away the things that he gave her. Then he says, verse 10, and now when I discover her lewdness, now he's going to look at the things that she did. I'm just, going through those couple of scriptures. Verse 11, I will also cause her mirror to cease, her happiness, her feast days, her new moons, and her Sabbath. Now, we talk about the nation of Israel. He said, and I will destroy her vineyard. So he take away all her substance, destroying everything that she got, doing all these things to her because she committed adultery. He leave her abandoned without anything. You know, a husband is supposed to take care of his wife and make sure she has all the substance that she needs. But he said, because she broke the covenant, I'm not giving her anything. I'm taking everything from her. Then in verse 14, if you look at what he said, well, let's go to verse 13. And I will visit upon her the days of Baalim, wherein she burnt incense to them, and she decked herself with her earrings and her jewels, and she went after her lovers, and forget me, said the master. So remember when I told you on part 2 that Yah is a jealous. He is very jealous. He said, my name is jealousy. So he don't like when you go and forsake him. What man would like his wife going after another man? Do you know in the book of Psalms when it talks about a woman that commits adultery, if a man commits adultery with a man's wife, that is nothing that you can give this man as a ransom to pay him back, that he's going to get you? It's going to be in his heart that he's going to take revenge on you for sleeping with his wife? Can you imagine that? Can you imagine that? How men feel when they found out their wife cheated. Now imagine the Most High, because he's telling you in the same way, this is how he felt. The same way a man would feel for a woman that he take care of and do for and find out she's sleeping with other men. He's disgusted by it, he's hurt by it, and he's going to take revenge. So here we see clearly, he's telling you that he remembered. He said, you forgot me, you forget me, said the master, the end of verse 13. Verse 14, therefore, behold, I will allure her, and bring her into the wilderness, and speak comfortably unto her. And I will give her her vineyards from thence. Now, when he said allure her, this means he's going to hiss for the nation of Israel, and all the places he sent us into captivity, and he's going to lead us back into the wilderness. Here's the first time we see another indication of us going back into the wilderness. After we did all these things we did against him, he's bringing the nation of Israel back. He's bringing his wife back. He's going to remarry her, rededicate himself to her. He's going to clean her up of her filthiness, and he's going to bring her back as his bride once again. Verse 14 again, therefore, behold, I will allure her, and bring her into the wilderness, and speak comfortably unto her, and I will give her her vineyards from thence, and the valleys of Achor for a door of hope, and she shall sing there as in the days of her youth, and as in the day when she came up out of the land of Egypt, Mizraim, the house of bondage. And it shall be at that day, saith the master, that thou shalt call me Ishah, and shalt call me no more Baal Allah. So, he's telling you, you're going to call me your husband. You're going to call me your husband. You're not going to call me by no false name no more. You're going to call me by my name, which is, you're going to call me your husband, Ish, your husband. I'm going to lure you into the wilderness. I'm going to give you back the things that I took from you. No more shall you call me Allah, but you will call me Ishah. Hallelujah. Verse 17. For I will take away the name of Baalim out of her mouth, and they shall no more be remembered by their name. So he's going to take away the false idols that we were called on. He's going to take away the false images that we were worshiping. We're going to be doing righteousness. When we didn't do righteousness before, he punished us. And now he's going to bring his wife back. This is a clear indication of him having a forgiving heart. Because most men will not take their wife back for committing adultery. Most men, their wife cheat on them, that's a hard pill to swallow. Knowing that, another man laid with your wife, and he laid with your wife the way that you laid with your wife, and y'all know what y'all do in the bed. You know how you make love to your wife, you know how your wife makes love to you. So can you imagine that to take a woman back that you know she been having sexual relationships, intimacy with another man, and no telling what kind of things she was doing with him in that bed, and now you taking her back. You have to have unconditional love for that woman. You have to have the type of love that majority of us human beings do not have. You have to be the type of person that have forgiveness in your heart, love and compassion in your heart to do that. And I know, trust me when I tell you. Verse 18, and in that day will I make a covenant for them with the beasts of the field, and with the fowl of the heaven, and with the creepy things on the ground. And I will break the bow and the sword and the battle out of the earth, and will make them to lie down safely. So he said, when I take them into the wilderness, they're not going to be troubled by the animals out there, because I'll make a covenant with them. And the animals are not going to go after them and try to kill them and hurt them. Not even the insects. Because they're going to be protected. It's going to be safety while we're in the wilderness. He said, verse 19, and I will betroth thee unto me, and I will betroth thee unto me forever. Yea, I will betroth thee unto me in righteousness, and in judgment, and in loving kindness, and in mercy. I will even betroth thee unto me in faithfulness, and thou shalt know the master. And it shall come to pass in that day, I will hear, said the master, I will hear the heavens, and they shall hear the earth, and the earth shall hear the corn, and the wine, and the oil, and they shall hear Yazri, and I will sow her unto me in the earth, and I will have mercy upon her that had not obtained mercy, and I will say to them which were not my people, thou art my people, and they shall say, thou art our human. Then said the master unto me, go yet, loving woman betrothed of a friend, yet an adulteress, according to the love of the master towards the children of Israel who look to other gods and love flagons of wine. So he's telling Hosea, look, I want you to go and find a woman that is a whore, an adulterous woman. I want you to go find this adulterous woman. I want you to take her and buy her and make her your woman, and I want you to love her. Because this is what he made the prophets do. Whenever he said he was going to do something, some of the prophets had to act these things out. He had one of the prophets eat doo-doo, poo-poo. It wasn't human poo-poo, it was animal poo-poo, but in the event, he made them eat it. He made them walk around naked with a yoke around their necks to show Israel what he was going to do to them. And the same thing here, you see, he's telling Hosea, I want you to go find yourself an adulterous woman, a whore, and marry her, and not just marry her, but have kids with her. Go buy her. So that's what he did with us. He wouldn't want us back. He brought back the nation of Israel through the blood of the Lamb. When he showed Abraham, when Abraham was going to sacrifice our father Isaac on an altar, and when he was about to strike the child, our forefather Isaac, the angel said, don't touch the child, for now I see that you will not withhold anything from me. And when he looked and heard the beeping, it was a ram caught in the thicket by the horns. And he took that ram and used that ram as a sacrifice instead of Isaac. That was a symbolic meaning of the Messiah, the Lamb of Yah. Because a ram is nothing but a male sheep. So it was caught in the thicket, the tree, and the Messiah was impaled to the tree and died for the sins. Instead of him killing us and sacrificing us and making us pay for our wrong, when he had Abraham to sacrifice Isaac, instead of Abraham sacrificing his son for his people, his nation, the Messiah was the sacrificed lamb. As it was being shown to Abraham when the ram was stuck in a tree, when he was going to kill his son. The ram took the place of Isaac, which means the Messiah took the place of the children of Abraham to be sacrificed for the sins. So the ram, which was the Messiah, a symbolic symbol of the Messiah to come. Even in the time of Moses in Egypt, when he had to take the sheep blood and put it on a mantle, that blood was a sign that the death angel would not kill anybody inside those houses. So now the blood that was shed for us on the tree, which was shown in Abraham, all that time back, is the same blood that was shown in Egypt that covered the door. The door now is our body, the temple. And inside of the temple is the spirit of Yah. And his body is covered with the blood of the Messiah for the sins that were committed against us to save us from the death angel when he come and bring these disasters on this earth. So those who are not covered by this blood shall die. It's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You're not covered by the blood. The same thing that happened to those in time of Egypt that did not have the blood on their door. When the death angel came in, they died. And that's what happened to the people of Israel when the death angel come. When he come and visit the iniquities of man on earth, those who are not covered by the blood shall die. And we're not just talking about a physical death, we're talking about a whole physical and spiritual death. So you must be covered by the blood. In order for you to be covered by the blood, you must walk in the spirit of truth. You must understand these scriptures in the Bible. You must understand what it means in the book of Hosea of why he had Hosea marry a whore. Why he talks about Israel as a whore. About the adultery. You need to understand it through spiritual means. Most people look at these scriptures as fairy tales, but yet these are living, breathing words, spiritual, because we know these things happen. Some say, well, how do you know they happen? Look out history and you'll see that these things happen. Most people can't see that. I'll go to the book of Ezekiel. Book of Ezekiel, let's see. Chapter 36. Book of Ezekiel, chapter 36. Also, thou son of man, prophesy unto the mountains of Israel, and say, Ye mountains of Israel, hear the word of the Master. Thus saith the Master, Elohim, because the enemy has said against you, even the ancient high places are our possessions. Therefore prophesy and say, Thus saith the Master, Elohim, because they have made you desolate and swallowed you up on every side, that ye might be a possession unto the residue of the heathen, and ye are taken up in the lips of talkers, and are an infant of the people, and famine of the people. Therefore, ye mountains of Israel, hear the word of the Master Elohim. Thus saith the Master Elohim to the mountains, and to the hills, and to the rivers, and to the valleys, to the desolate wastes, and to the cities that are forsaken, which became a prey and derision to the residue of the heathen that are round about. Therefore thus saith the Master Yah, surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the residue of the heathen, and against all Idumea, which have appointed me land which have appointed my land into their possession, with the joy of all their heart, with despiteful minds to cast it out for a prey. Prophesy therefore concerning the land of Israel, and say unto the mountains, and to the hills, to the rivers, and to the valleys, Thus saith the Master Yah, behold, I have spoken in my jealousy and in my fury, because ye have borne the shame of heathen. Therefore, thus saith the Master Yah, I have lifted up my head. Surely the heathen that are about you, they shall bear their shame. But ye, O mountain of Israel, ye shall shoot forth your branches and yield your fruit to my people of Israel, for they are at hand to come. For behold, I am for you, and I will turn unto you, and ye shall be tilled and sown. And I will multiply men upon you, all the houses of Israel, even all of it, and the city shall be inhabited, and the waste shall be built. And I will multiply upon you man and beast, and they shall increase and bring fruit, and I will settle you after your own estate, after your own estates, and will do better unto you than at your beginning, and ye shall know that I am the master. Yea, I will cause men to walk upon you, even my people Israel, and they shall possess thee, and thou shalt be their inheritance, and thou shalt no more henceforth bereave them of men. Thus saith the Master Yah, because they say unto you, Thou land devourest up men, and hast bereaved thy nations. Therefore thou shalt devour men no more, neither bereave thy nations any more, said the Master Yah. Neither will I cause men to hear in thee the shame of the heathen any more, neither shalt thou bear the reproach of the people any more, neither shalt thou cause thy nation to fall any more, said the Master Yah. Moreover, the word of the Master came unto me, saying, Son of man, when the house of Israel dwelt in their own land, they defiled it by their own way, and by their doing. Their way was before me as the uncleanness of a removed woman. Wherefore I poured my fury upon them for the blood that they had shed upon the land, and for their idol, wherefore they had polluted it. And I scattered them among the heathen, and they were dispersed through the countries according to their way and according to their doing. I judged them. And when they entered into the heathen, whither they went, they profaned my set-apart name, when they said to them, These are the people of the Master, and are gone forth out of the land. But I had pity for my set-apart name, which the house of Israel had profaned among the heathen, whither they went. Therefore said unto the house of Israel, Thus saith the Master Yah, I do not this for your sake, O house of Israel, but for my set-apart name's sake, which ye have profaned among the heathen, whither ye went. So he says that he's going to pay back these nations that have lifted their hands up against the nation of Israel. He said that he's going to put them back in their land, and he's going to give them more in the latter days when he bring them back than he did in the beginning. He said that he's going to do all these things, and he's going to take care of these other nations. He's going to do all these things because they mocked him. See, one thing that Israel don't know, when we go outside this door, and those of the other nations, they know who we are. They look at us, and when they shake their heads at us, they're like shaking their heads at the Most High. When they talk about us, they're talking about the Most High, because we are His people. So when they talk about His people, they're talking about Him. That's like if somebody talk about your child, they talk about your daughter, your son, or your grandchild. They're talking about you. They're talking about your household. So look at Susie. Susie ain't nothing but a little trick out there. And that's so-and-so's child. That's so-and-so's child. That's her favorite child. Look at her. She ain't this or she ain't that. Or look at him. He ain't this or he ain't that. This is what they say about us in the streets. So when they say this about us in the physical sense, we know when somebody talk about your child, they talking about you. When they say, yeah, that child is dirty, that child is never clean, they talking about you. So when they say your child is dirty, they say that your house is dirty. They say you're dirty. So when people talk about the nation of Israel, they're talking about the Most High. And that's what these other nations have done. And it has angered him. He said, I'm not doing this for Israel. I'm doing it for my name's sake. Because how shall my name be polluted amongst the heathens? He said this in the book of Isaiah chapter 48, starting at verse 10. How shall my name be polluted? So he said, I'm going to redeem Israel. I'm going to put Israel back in the land. I'm going to make them better than they was before. And I'm going to take care of these other people, these other nations, for talking bad about me. I'm going to redeem this whore, this filthy whore that went out a whoring. I'm going to get this harlot, I'm going to get this adulterous woman, and I'm going to bring her back, I'm going to clean her up, and I'm going to make her better than what she was before. I'm going to give her love, I'm going to give her understanding, I'm going to give her kindness, I'm going to be faithful to her, I'm going to do all the things to this adulterous woman, and she will not commit adultery no more. She will not go after her lovers no more. And all these nations that made love to her, that caused her to stray, that hurt her, even though she committed adultery against me, I'm going to do unto them what they done unto me. I'm going to take care of them. The Most High is letting people know that I'm going to take care of these nations. Therefore, those of us who are Israel should know that the nations know this too. They know that the Most High is going to get them back. They know that the Most High is coming to rule the earth and to make them servants. They know these things. That's why they're coming at us. That's why they hate us. That's why as the time gets closer to the rise of the nation of Israel to be set back in their land, the nations out here that hate us will come against us on every side. You can believe that. And if you don't raise your children up to understand that your children will be out there being murdered and slaughtered out in these streets by these other nations, by these police officers, by these military officials, all of them will make your children a prey. Make your young men a prey. One thing that you notice when I read in the book of Ezekiel, he said in verse 11 of chapter 36, and I will multiply upon you man and beast. I will multiply upon you man and beast. Why is he going to multiply man and beast on us? Well, he's going to multiply man because during the time of us going back home, there's going to be very few men alive of our people. They're going to put the man to the sword. Right now, you see that majority of our people that are getting killed on the street are young men by police officers, by white men. They're killing young black men, older black men. They just killed an elderly man that was 100 and I believe 105 years old. This man was 105 years old. And because he didn't want to leave his house and go to an old folks home, they called the police on him. He pulled out his gun and started shooting. They went in there and lit his behind up. They could have put a tear gas in there. They could have put a knockout bomb in there. They went in there and filled this 105-year-old Hebrew Israelite elder full of bullets. 105 years old, and they went in there like that and executed this man like he was nothing. You was 105 years old, you're supposed to have some type of honor, some type of respect. I would have talked to you for 15 days. You would have got tired and went to sleep. You're 105 years old. I ain't got to use no brute force on you. I just sit there and let you think about it. Once you went to sleep, I'd have sent a knocked out gas in there because they can do that. They could have took a robot and had a robot put on holes under the door or drilled under the door, because if they was able to stick a camera in there to see where he was, they could have stuck a tube the same size of a camera, put a knockout gas in there. That man would have been on the ground with his mouth open, head back, sleep. But instead they didn't do that. They came in there with a whole force and shot this man full of holes. 105 years old. This is the type of people we're living at, and most of our people playing games out here in the streets with these people because they don't have the understanding. See, when you are lack of wisdom, you would not understand that your little smart behinds thinking that life is going to be there for you tomorrow. You won't understand that it won't be. You won't understand that right now, because we have so many droughts in this country in the last couple of years, that the storehouse is almost empty, if not empty. You will understand that right now, the military are buying bullets out, and they have bought bullets out, and they're getting ready for whatever's coming in this country. They're getting ready for. You will understand why they got FEMA camps and concentration camps in this country. You will understand why they got millions and millions of coffins. But most of our people don't understand this because they choose not to understand. Therefore, 2/3 of our people wouldn't die. But the remnant that make it out, he don't bring them through. And the reason why he said that I'm going to increase men on you, because during the time of Israel leaving and exiting out of here, there's going to be very few men. Very few men, because most of them won't die here. The police officers kill black men like it ain't nothing. These white people these neo-Nazis, these Ku Klux Klan members, they kill black people like it ain't nothing. It's a hunt, and we are the prey. And we have always been the prey. So we got to understand that this ain't a game. This ain't meant to be laughing about. So they don't kill the women because they can use the women for sex. They can use the young girls for sex. And that's what the white men, they a bunch of rapists anyway. Even in the military, you see what they do when they go over them countries. They over there raping the Iraqi men and the women and the children. So this is what they're about. This is their race. This is what the European race have evolved from. They come from incest. They come from rape and child molestation. This is what they come from. This is a part of their culture. If you look at the Roman and Greco era, this is what they were doing. If you look at the movie called Caligula, you will see that that's what they were doing. They were into a lot of bestiality, homosexuality. They were into all these things. They learned how to do sexual acts by watching animals. This is where they get it from. And this is what they had taught us. So you gotta understand something. You are in the same era amongst the same people, these Roman and Greco people still on this earth. Because it's the last kingdom. Rome was the last kingdom, and Rome was not destroyed. This is Rome. All the European nations, and look in the book of Daniel, when they talk about the 10 toes, this is the nation of Rome, the last nation to rule. The next nation to rule is the kingdom of Yah. So he's showing you that in the last day of time, there's going to be very few men. Why? Most of them ain't going to be destroyed out here in the streets, get killed, end up in prison, put them to death in there. Most of them have abandoned natural relationships with women for unnatural relationships with men. So we got a lot of homosexuals amongst our men. So it's going to be very few men. That's why in the book of Isaiah chapter 4, it says that 7 women will take hold of 1 man. During the time when we make our way back home, there are going to be a lot of women that do not have husbands. And they will need someone to lead them out of this place, and therefore men will have more than 1 wife, like you have right now. This is what's going to happen in the latter days, because there's going to be that few of men. That's why he said that men would be rare like fine gold. Plus with all the diseases that's running around amongst our people, a lot of our men will die from them. There's more females than it is men. Right now, it used to be 7 women to every man. It's like 24 women to every man. I'm in the house right now, and I'm the only male in the house. I'm the only male in the house. And the scripture says that I'm going to do a new thing, that a woman should surpass a man. Surpass a man. So when you look at that, it didn't say a woman will go past a man. It's talking about a woman will encircle a man. So he will be surrounded by women. I'm a living proof of that right now. And I have been living proof like that for a long time. Everywhere I basically lived at, I was surrounded by women. Only in my household, where I grew up as a child, that wasn't the case. But after I went out on my own, I was basically surrounded by women. In all the households I lived in. My own houses, I had everything. In the relationships I've been in, a lot of women had daughters. So this is what you see. One of my sons was raised up around a bunch of women. My oldest son and his family, there's more women in their family than there is men. So this is what he's talking about. This is prophecy, and we don't even see this. Because we choose not to see these things because we're too busy indulging in things that keep us blind to the truth. We have to walk in the Spirit so that we do not give in to the temptations of the world, so that we can be ready. Our children don't have a clue about what's going to happen. They don't have no understanding whatsoever because we're not raising our children in the way they should go. We allow our children to do whatever they want to do, and we will give account for it. That's why most of our houses are not blessed. That's why there's no peace in it, because you're not doing what the Most High say do, so therefore why should he help you? Why should he do anything for you? If you love your child, you love your children, then you will raise them up in the way they should go. You will pray for them and pray over them. Every day I wake up, that Yah give me a day, I pray for all my children. I pray for every responsibility that the Most High gave me, whether they're my children from my body or not. I pray for them. I still pray for my exes and their children. I pray for my brothers and my sister kids. I pray for my aunties and uncles in this truth and their children. I pray for my children from my body. I pray for my children that I have with my Isha. I pray for my generation and my people, because we need to pray for one another. We need to be prayer warriors. We need to be bringing prayers before the Most High, because we are dying out here. We are losing our men, and we have to have men raised up to raise us up out of here. We need leaders to lead us out of here. Right now we got a bunch of brothers screaming and howling on the corners, doing all kind of havoc, making all kind of lies up, just so they can seduce the women, and so they can keep us in bondage and have us ready to be slaughtered by these devils that's coming at us. That's all it's about. It's about money. Israel is the biggest money maker anywhere with anything. If you bring a new product out, Israel won't get it. If you get a new church in the neighborhood and the pastor look like a pimp, that church going to be full with Israelites. If you come out with a new cell phone, Israel got to have it. A new pair of sneakers, Israel got to have it. A new TV, Israel got to have it. A new car, Israel got to have it. Everybody makes money off of us. Everybody gains wealth off of the nation Israel. If Israel was to stop spending money for one day, this whole world, not this country, but this whole world would stop. They can't function without us because we spend the most money. So they must keep us as zombies. They must keep us deluded with lies and covered with spells so that they can keep exploiting us. So we need righteous leaders, but the leaders that we have that's teaching us truth is also behind keeping us in lies, keeping us in bondage, because they are agents. So now the Most High is raising up real shepherds, real counselors, real judges. And the problem now is that people got so used to the lying shepherds that when you bring them truth, they can't hear it. Because the lying shepherds kept them indulging in the flesh. And now when the true shepherds tell them about walking in the Spirit, they can't understand that. They got a problem with that. They want to argue and combat you with it because they don't know how to walk in the Spirit, so they think that what you're saying ain't the real world. That's a shame. Woe unto the shepherd that lead the people astray, especially the children of Israel. You got a penalty to come with you. And some of these Codis out here who teaching these other Codis, oh, well, you don't have to be on authority of your husband, and that's man-made stuff, and niggas using. All these Codis that's out here running their big mouths because they got married, and then when they got married, things didn't work out in the marriage because they want to be rebellious, and their husband gave a bill to the divorce, go out and start teaching these other sisters that, these brothers, they doing things not according to law. First of all, they don't have right to be teaching the scriptures and doing that. Second of all, they don't have the Spirit of the Most High. And they did have the Spirit of the Most High, if they did marry somebody that gave them a bill certificate of divorce, or if he did them wrong, the Most High would take care of that. But if they was walking in the Spirit and truth, they would have been able to discern him. So that showed that you was in the wrong as well, because you should have been walking in the truth and Spirit. See, sometimes we get afraid when new things come in our life that takes us from our normal state. But when you come into this truth, yes, that's what's going to happen. You're going to be taken from what you know and what you have been familiar to, what you was brought up in, because you've been brought up in the physical. Now, when you start walking in the spiritual, it's a different ball game. There's more demands on you because the Most High said, okay, now you know. There's no excuse no more. You know Friday, sundown, Saturday, sundown is the Shabbat. You know that the feast days come. You know after blowing the trumpets, you know all these feast days come behind it. You know Passover coming up. You know all these things that I require you to do, but yet you can't get them done. Yet you got other people pulling you away and making you feel bad about following them. See, when you was into the false thing, Christmas and Easter and Thanksgiving, all this foolishness, you were blind, it was much easier. But now when you come into the truth, it becomes hard because now you got to serve the Most High. And now you're serving the Most High, the world is coming at you, and the world making you think that you are doing something wrong. you are doing something wrong. You're abandoning Satan's world and you're fighting for the Most High, the one who created your world. So that is wrong because this is Satan's world. Make no mistake, it was given up to Satan. So while you in Satan's world, if you ain't operating the way Satan say operate, you're going to go through hell. He's going to bring everything at you, and I'm a living witness of that. He will tear you apart. But the Most High will preserve you. He will let you go through it. You will endure to the end. And even if you die in it, so be it. Because you got your reward coming. You want to be able to see your King, your Creator, on good terms. You will see your King. You will see your Creator one day. You want to make sure when that happens, it's on good terms. Most people do not understand that tonight might be the night that the Most High come acquiring of your soul. Tonight might be the night that you might die. Tomorrow might be the day. But one day, someday, because you young or because you physically fit, don't make a difference. You can slip, you can fall, you can be electrocuted, a bomb can go off, your car brakes might go out, anything can happen. A gas leak, carbon dioxide, anything can happen to cause you to lose your life. Anything, no matter if you're young, old, healthy, no matter what, anything cause you to lose your life. You're not ready when you die. That's your problem because you spend your time going after the flesh. That's why you need to prepare and build your spirit up because anything can go down at any time. And because we're in the last days in time and we see what's going on out here, this is not the time to be getting caught up in the worldly thing. It's not the time to let people pull you back into the world. This is the time to make your stand and say, no, I can't do that. I can't do that. I can't do it. No, I'm sorry. I can't do that. You want me to do what? No, that's against Torah. No, I'm not going there because there ain't a bunch of sinners there. And I'm not a sinner. I sin, but I've been called to a higher calling. I can't participate in that foolishness because that's not what I'm about. I can't compromise for the Most High because He gives me my bread and my butter. He keeps a roof over my head. So I ain't losing all that because you want me to go and indulge into a world full of sin. I'm not doing that. Because if I go there, I'm going there preaching the word, and I know you want me going there to preach the word. So therefore, I'm gonna be a party pooper. I'm coming in and pull out the Bible and say, "Thus say the Most High." Everybody in here ain't trying to hear "Thus say the Most High." Everybody in here trying to get high. They ain't trying to hear nothing about no Bible. They trying to hear about that blunt, about that drink. They hear about shaking it fast. So I'm not going there. I'm sorry, but most people can't do that. They can't stand for the Most High because fleshly things pull you down to the ground and make you weak because you indulge in the flesh so much that you can't fight in the spirit. I went through the same thing. I went through the same thing in my walk, and sometimes I fall even now. But I'll tell you this: resist the flesh, and Satan shall flee. Walk in the spirit, and you will not give in to the flesh. You will not indulge in the flesh. I'm telling you, if you stay in prayer, and you stay in supplication, you stay in the scriptures, you do this when you wake up in the morning, you do this in the afternoon, you do this at night, you say prayers during the day, you sing psalms, you keep yourself in shalom, you will find it much easier with this walk and fighting Satan, and if you don't. Because if you don't, you got a battle. Because it's better for you not to go into this truth without understanding the cost of this war. We are in a war. A war that is going to be fought whether you are ready to fight or not. It's being fought. So you need to be ready for it and prepare for it. You have been listening to YermiYah Yoshshaalia BenYahrael. This is Real Talk. This is my final video on walking in the spirit and truth. This teaching is about the spiritual part of this walk as being a Hebrew, being an Israelite. The spiritual part, the things that we go through being in this truth. Because a lot of people who are in the world and follow after their flesh, they don't care about your walk. They don't care that you're trying to live a set-apart life. They don't care that you're trying to worship and praise the Most High. They want you to do what they want you to do. They want you to stop doing Shabbat so they can do what they want to do. They want you to stop praising the Most High, playing Hebrew music. They want you to go back to your old ways so that when you die, you can go to hell right along with them. Because they don't understand themselves because they walk in the flesh. You have to understand and ask yourself, how am I going to make it into the kingdom if I do everything that is against Torah? I do everything that is wicked and evil in the eyes of the Most High. How in the world am I going to make it into the kingdom? How am I going to make it into the kingdom when I don't pray for my food? I don't pray and give thanks for being awoke in the morning. I don't pray for the blessing that He give me. I am an ungrateful so-and-so. But yet, I think that when I die, I'm going to make it into the kingdom because I ain't such a bad person. I don't do what other people do. You cannot actually believe that that's true. Because if you believe that, then you're a fool. You slow. Because the Bible tells you that unless your righteousness precedes the righteousness of the Pharisees, you ain't making it in. So you can't justify, well, I'm a righteous person. Ain't none of us righteous. The judgment starts with the house of Israel first. And if it starts with Israel first, what about those that's outside of Israel? So He's telling you that I'm going to start with my own house first with this judgment. So right now, you have to make a choice. Who are you going to serve? Are you going to serve the flesh? When people tell you, well, why are you doing this? Why are you into this cult? And why are you into this? And now you don't want to do this no more. You used to be a fun person. We used to go clubbing together. We used to do all this stuff together. Because your answer should be, because I don't want to go to hell when I die. I don't know when I get in my car if I'm going to have an accident and die. I don't know if I might die in my sleep from carbon dioxide. So I'm supposed to take the chance of me going to hell because you want me to do some things that is wrong. Why should I do that? Who are you to tell me that I should give myself over to Satan and go to hell? Because you want to live your life the way you want to live and you are offended because I won't do what you asking me to do. You're trying to force me to make a decision based on the flesh. If I die tonight, where will I be? If you ask anybody who try to pressure you into doing wrong or doing what they want, going against the Most High, ask them this one question. Okay, say if I don't keep Shabbat today. If I die tonight, what will happen to me? They're not going to be able to answer that. They're going to say, I don't know. Will I be in hell? Can you guarantee me that if I don't keep Shabbat tonight, if I don't keep the Feast of Tabernacles, if I don't keep Passover, if I don't keep Day of Atonement, if I don't keep these feast days that He has ordered for us to keep throughout our generations forever, if I don't walk in the light, if I don't do the righteous thing, and if I don't forsake evil and wicked things, can you guarantee me when I die, if I die tonight, I'm going to go to heaven? I'm going to make it into the kingdom. Can you guarantee me that? And nobody can do that. So therefore, if you succumb to them, you are about the dumbest person on this earth. Because you will let a human being force you to do something and they can't answer that question. They can't tell you what's going to happen to you because they don't even know what's going to happen to them. All they know is they want to go to the club tonight and it's Friday night and they got their new dress and new shoes, they got their hair done and they want you to go with them. But they can't tell you if you go and forsake the laws of the Most High, that if you die, where you will end up at. They can't give you a guarantee. You don't even have a guarantee if you keep the laws, if you keep the Shabbats, that you're going to make it into the kingdom. But you have a better shot making it into the kingdom doing a righteous thing than doing wickedness. You got to make a decision. This is your life, your eternal life. Forget the physical, because everybody is appointed death. Then come judgment. We come into this world, we live, we all have to die. That's the curse that went on us because of Adam and Eve. So you got to make a decision. Is these people that are pressuring me to stop keeping the Shabbats, to stop keeping the feast days, to stop dressing modest, These people that pressure me to go back into my old ways when I was sinning, if these people guarantee me that I'm making it to the kingdom? Will they be able to speak up for me on Judgment Day? And the answer is no. They can't even speak for themselves on Judgment Day. So why are you giving in to people who can't do nothing for you on the day you stand in front of your Creator? They can't say a word. They can't say, excuse me, Most High Yah, my name is Jack Flash, and I know Tommy over here, and I was a part of the people who was pressuring him, and he wanted to keep the feast days, he wanted to keep the Sabbath, and he wanted to, do right, but we kept telling him, man, look, the Most High ain't gonna be mad if you go ahead and smoke this blunt. The Most High ain't gonna be mad if you don't keep Shabbat tonight. I mean, you can take a rest off from that. We was pressuring him, and in his behalf, I just want to speak up for him. Ain't nobody gonna say nothing to that, because guess what? On the day of judgment, they're gonna be scared to death for themselves. And they're gonna be angry because all the truth is gonna be out. They're going to be worried about what's going to be shown of their life, the things that they've done. Because all the books going to be open. So if you worry about what other people think about your walk in this truth, you don't deserve to make it into the kingdom. And I'm going to say that straight up. You don't deserve. Because these people don't feed you. These people probably will go and ask that from you. These people will ask you to give them stuff, but they won't give you nothing. These people will always be a nag to you and a snag and a snare to you. They won't trap you. People see that you come out of the world, they always try to pull you back in because they stuck in there. Oh, so you want to Hebrew Israelites, huh? Oh, so you keep the laws, huh? Oh, so if I cook this pork chop, you ain't gonna eat it? Man, I make the best pork chops down here in Louisiana, smothered with onions and gravy. Man, I got the best shrimps and lobsters and crabs and all these other things, and they're trying to trap you. They know you used to get high. They'll pour drugs out in front of you. They will do everything to tempt you to bring you back. Your children will make you feel like you're neglecting them. Well, Mama, well, Daddy, before you got into the truth, we used to have a whole lot of fun on Saturdays and Fridays. Now, we can't do nothing. You're just saying your kids, well, do you ever think that I should worship the Most High and thank Him for giving me a roof over my head that you got over your head and clothes on your back, and He gave me a job so I can take care of you and make sure you're not homeless and laying out in the street and dirty, you got running water, you got food. You sit there and you'll fall for the voices of those who don't know no better. All they care about is feeding their flesh. All they care about is eating, pissing, defecating, and going about their business in la-la land. Like Charlie Brown and the crew, just shaking their head from left to right without a thought of anything that can turn in their head because they're too young to have those type of thoughts of anything spiritual. And you allow these people to pull you back. You allow your mama, your daddy, your aunts, your uncles, everybody that's in your family. I've been through it. They talked about me like a dog. You went to a cult. Oh, now because you in the truth, you this, you that. And I had to stand my ground. I mean, I had people literally trying to set me up because I came into this truth. Oh, so you love God. What did He do for you? What did He do for me? I'm sitting there talking to you right now. I'm alive. He woke me up. I don't see how much He's doing for you because I don't see what you got. See, you're looking at physical things. I got more than you could ever imagine. See, I might be poor, but I'm rich in spirit. Because, see, I can see with spiritual eyes. People will make you think that you are crazy for serving an unseen physical, an unseen Elohim that you can't physically see. That's why, like I said, when you look at this truth, you will see that they had images of the Messiah, which is wrong. They should not have images because they don't know what He looked like. They just know a description of His color and the texture of His hair. That's it. You don't know what type of nose He got, what type of lips He got, how His ears is. They don't know the color of His eyes. They don't know none of these things. They don't know how the shape of His jaw. None of these things. If He had a thick mustache, a thin mustache, a big build? Was he stocky? Was he tall? Was he slender? They don't know none of these things. And they got images. See, our people need to see, touch, and feel before they believe. But those of us that walk in the Spirit, we know the untangible. We see the untangible. So we reach for the things that are not seen. We believe and we have hope in a resurrection, even though we don't see the resurrection. We see it in a distance. Like our forefathers and foremothers didn't see the nation of Israel go into the kingdom, the land of milk and honey, but they visioned it from a distance. And they had faith that their descendants were going to be in the kingdom and living in a land filled with milk and honey. Moses was able to look over and see the promised land, but did not enter into the promised land. The prophets was able to see the Messiah coming and redeeming Israel, but did not see the Messiah. But they had faith in it. They had hope in it. The untangible. Our people had to see things they could touch, see, and smell before they believe the truth. Before they will believe the truth, they have to see it. And that's why they're going to fall right into the mouth of hell. Because they're too busy thinking that the Most High ain't on his job. So therefore, they're going to do their job and do his job too, because they know more. You didn't create yourself. You can't tell me how your heart was made. You can't tell me anything about your body function. You can't tell me anything about how you was put together. All you can tell me is some type of scientific logic, reasoning of how things go. But you really can't sit there and tell me anything about yourself. You can't tell me how your thoughts work. What makes you able to talk inside of your head without moving your lips and nobody hearing you, but you can have a conversation inside yourself. You can't tell me how that works, how that is done. You can't tell me how your intestines work when you eat food to cause you to break down the food in your body and then eventually take the good part of the food, the nourishment, and take the rubbish and push it out. You can't tell me how he did that. So you can't tell me these things. Why should I be listening to you about what I should be doing and how I should be living? If the Most High gave me a call and told me, not you, but me, look, pick up your tree and follow me, be my disciple, and I will give you rivers of living water. And yet, I never had living water before, and I taste the living water, and I see that it's sweet. It's not like any other water I ever taste. Here, you trying to make me drink some dirty water again. I've got a glass of pure, ice cold, crystal clear, unadulterated, unpolluted water, and here you trying to give me a glass filled with mud. And say, oh man, put that glass down. You been drinking too much today. You don't got too far behind yourself. You don't got too far now. You walking on it. You walking on water. I gotta bring you back to the real world. Here, drink this mud. You gotta be a fool. Think I'm gonna take that glass. My life is nothing but a vapor. I am like the blade of grass that can be cut down at any moment. That will wither and die, like a flower that blooms for a season and then it withers and dies. I am like the vapor, like a cloud. I'm here for a moment. And while I'm here for a moment, I have seen some things with my people. I have seen the struggles. I have felt the struggles. I have felt the sorrow and pain. I have lost loved ones. I have lost a lot of things. I'll be damned if I lose out of the kingdom because some human being trying to make me feel bad about my walk for the Most High. You gotta be kidding me. I'm a soldier. I'm a general. And I ain't getting out this army. I'm gonna rock with this army. Because it's all I know and all I want to know. This is what I was bred and raised for. Make no mistake, the things I did when I was living as a sinner, all he did was flip it upside down. That's all he did. He made the pureness of me. He made the pureness of me appear. And he's still working on me. I'm a work in progress. But when he get finished with me, the finished product of me, I will be a golden, finished product that will be standing in front of the Most High, happy and singing. Hallelujah. Because I'm not going to fall to voices of men or women. You can tell me all day long and whisper in my ear, and I ain't going to get into what you say, because I'm not going to hell for you, nor with you. Now you can get aboard this boat, this ark, and get yourself prepared, or you can stay out there and drown like the rest of them, like rats going to drown. But that's your choice. I love all of my brothers and sisters in the nation of Israel. I want for all of my brothers and sisters in the nation of Israel to be happy, to have life in abundance, to not to cry, to not to grow old, to have all the things that their heart can desire that is righteous. But you have to want that for yourself. In this world, we're not going to get it. That's just the way it is. We're going through our punishment for what our forefathers did. And no, if we are suffering for something that our ancestors did, it tells you that the Most High don't play no games. So while you are falling into temptation of people who don't have a clue what tomorrow's going to bring, woe unto you who allow others to tempt you and pull you back into the mud from which you was poured out and washed from. Woe unto you who go back and lick up your vomit that you threw up the impurities. Why would you do that? Because you do not have a backbone. People pressure you, and you can't take the pressure. You can't turn around and say, get out my face, Satan, I rebuke you in the name. Get behind me, Satan. No, I'm not doing that. It's Shabbat. You know it's Shabbat, and you got a problem with it, too bad. Go sit down, go lay down, do whatever you're going to do, but get out my face, because you're not going to. And I'm going to tell you, Shabbat is a day when Friday come in on Shabbat, Satan acts up. He always go after the weak ones on Shabbat, and they will cause all kind of hysteria on Shabbat. They always do. Just like when they out there in the clubs and they get shot and killed on Friday nights. That's why they get killed on Friday nights, because it's the day they're supposed to be in the house worshiping the Most High, running in the Shabbat, but they out there running the streets. That's why there's more murders and more violence done on this day of Shabbat. So you have to ask yourself that the Most High has been preserving you and teaching you. He's brought you out of false religion into the truth. You know the truth. You have tasted the truth. And now you want to go back to falsehood? Now you feel offended? Now you feel ashamed because people are pressuring you? You need to get a backbone. You need to understand it. Let them say what they want to say. Take it to the Most High. I guarantee you take it to the Most High. He'll deal with them. He's showing up will. And I'm a witness to that. People bother you. There's a secret art of war inside the scriptures. There is prayers in the scriptures that King David used to pray against his enemies when they would come up against him and vex his soul. So if you got problems with people, I don't care who they are. You say that prayer, and with a sincere heart, and you've been doing what you're supposed to be doing for the Most High, you can best believe one thing for certain, one thing for sure, two things for certain, He's going to go after those people that bother His children. He will revenge you. Trust me. Trust and believe. I have seen it. I have seen with our own eyes. So I tell you that. That's what I mean. I won't mess with nobody that's in the truth. I know not to mess with nobody that's in Hebrew, whether they're in the truth or not. I have no right to touch them. If my brother do something wrong with me, I must forgive him 70 times, 7 times 7. I can't hold no grudge against another Hebrew whatsoever. I'm not dead in my walk. I cannot hold a grudge against another Hebrew. I must forgive them. So you got to understand something. You got problems with your children, with your family members, and you in this walk. Go to the Most High. Tell the Most High to get them off your back. He'll get them off your back, one by one. He'll deal with them. You don't have to deal with them. Keep on praising the Most High. Keep on rejoicing in the Most High. I don't care if it's your husband. I don't care if it's your wife. You rebuke them. Because you do it because you love them. But don't let them pull you back. This is a spiritual warfare. Flesh and blood shall not win. This is a spiritual war. Those who walk in the flesh don't know. How can a person come to you and tell you that you're doing wrong and they don't even pray? They don't even know the Most High's name. They don't even get on their knees and pray. They go right to bed, close their eyes without even giving any thanksgiving for Him protecting them. And they're going to tell you, well, I don't think that you should keep it on Saturday. Well, I don't think that you should do this. How would they know? They don't even walk in the Spirit. They can't tell you nothing about the Bible. They can't even read a scripture to you. That's what I've been talking about. People let other people who don't even know Yah, don't have no relationship with Yah, tell them how they should operate. Tell me a scripture that validates what you say. Show me where in the scripture that what you're saying is true. They can't quote a scripture. They can't open up the Bible and tell you what that scripture means because they don't know it. But they tell you what you're doing is wrong. Well, I don't think that you are a Hebrew. I don't think you are a Hebrew. I think that you are caught up in a cult. All right, well, show me the Bible where you get this from. Show me where you believe that these white people who call themselves Jewish are the children of Israel. Show me in the Bible where you see that at. Show me in the Bible everything that you're telling me so I can see it for myself. They can't tell you what book to go in. And you ask them to name the books of the Bible, they couldn't name but maybe the main one, Genesis, Revelation, Matthew, some of those books. They couldn't tell you who Nehemiah was, Ezra is, Jasper, the book of Jubilee. They couldn't tell you none of these books because they don't read them. Most people don't read, period. Most people, all you do is watch TV and listen to music. So you let these people who watch TV that's run by Satan, listen to music that's run by Satan, tell you how you're supposed to be walking in the truth that's run by the Most High Yah? Are you serious? You can't be serious. You really can't be serious that you would take advice from somebody that don't even know a scripture in the Bible about your walk in the truth. You've been listening to YermiYah Yoshshaalia BenYahrael. And I want to give out an early Shabbat Shalom to those who will be celebrating the Day of Atonement when the sun goes down today. Aha, Shabbat Shalom. Praise Yah. Enjoy your feast day. Loving this truth. Loving being a Hebrew. I'm dedicated. I'm going to rock this out to the day that is over with. Can't wait till the Messiah come back and reign on this earth and get rid of all this wickedness. I myself am a fellow brother of yours. I'm no different than you. I'm not better than you. I don't know more than you. I just have a drive and I have a passion to do right. I stumble, I fall like we all do. But iron sharpens iron. Love each other. Keep each other in prayer. And if I don't see you in life, Yah willing, I'll see you at the finish line. Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. Happy feast on the Day of Atonement. And I'm out. Praise Yah, praise Yah, praise Yah. It's almost over. Don't lose heart. Shalom.